And welcome back to Real Ag Radio. It's now time for a product spotlight with today's show sponsor, Bayer Crop Science. We're talking right now to Tim Darragh. He is the canola technical strategy lead for Bayer. How are we doing today, Tim?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic.
Hey, man, it's great to have you here. So, we got combines rolling. We're seeing the harvest dust in the air, the harvest moon, and canola is, of course, one of the crops that we're bringing into the bin, which has, growers kind of reflecting on the season and their best laid plans and kind of doing some of those comparisons to what I intended to do to what actually happened. What are some of the key things that growers should be thinking about and considering as the crop comes in and thinking about next season, some of the potential improvements?
Yeah, I think as growers are running through the fields here, I think one of the things that they have the opportunity to do is get this kind of that perspective of what's out in the field this year. And one of the things that I like to talk about and get to see with guys is, what's out in the field that you weren't expecting. What's kind of the surprise out there? What's something that we did this past year that we could maybe change for next year that would improve our situation? And so, as you're sitting up in that combine seat and looking out across things, one of the things that stands out to me this year that we haven't had as much issue with is just the weeds out in the field that have come through. And so I've talked with a number of our LibertyLink growers. They've been saying, and it's been coming up more and more, that there's a fair bit of lamb's quarters, wild oats, cleavers out in that crop. And, that makes sense just given the spring that we had in terms of the conditions we had during that spray season and some of those weeds sneaking through. And so, the question is, what's the impact that's going to have on the crop? How can I do a better job of controlling those weeds for the future and make sure that we don't have that as an issue? And so, as a company, I mean, we do focus on TruFlex and opportunities like that, but we do have to be respectful of the fact that, glyphosate resistant kochia is an issue in parts of Western Canada. And so having a product like a TruFlex Liberty Link is going to give a grower the flexibility to kind of manage some of those trouble weeds. You can treat the system as a Liberty Link system if you choose to, but having that Roundup or that TruFlex trait in there gives you that insurance in terms of ensuring that you've got those weeds controlled. When we think about weeds, they kind of echo through the rotation. And so if you don't manage them in one year, it becomes issues in other parts of that rotation. So if you're growing cereals or pulses, you got to be able to manage those with different herbicides. So that's been a big topic of conversation for us around, what we're going to be doing. So our 400 series canola is the TruFlex Liberty Link. I think with the challenges we're seeing with some of those weeds out there this past year, I think we're going to see more acres of that canola going in the ground just because growers are looking for those options for a little bit more flexibility on that weed control. They need to make sure that they're controlling those, and that just makes their operation more efficient if they've got that flexibility.
Yeah, and we're seeing variances in harvest maturity from field to field, kind of depending on, of course, conditions and seeding dates and also the hybrid selection. Do you have any advice on what growers should consider when picking their hybrids for 2026?
Well, I think 2026 is going to be one of those years where we're going to have to be sharp with our pencils. Economics and profitability are going to be key. So, I mean, obviously, we're going to want to pick hybrids or make a recommendation for a hybrid that's going to provide good yield and good profitability. Part of the equation with profitability is also your costs. And so when we start thinking about maturity, there's lots of different things to consider out there. Obviously, the seed maturity, and that's what most companies rate their products on, is on seed maturity, but dry down the material and being able to get into that field efficiently and on time. That's another key thing that's important. One of the things that we find with our DEKALB products is that we have a whole plant dry down. And so with that whole plant dry down, when we go into the field and we start doing trials and comparing products, that plant that's dried down all the way allows guys to go at a faster speed in terms of ground speed, which means more acres kind of in an hour, less time and cost in terms of fuel depreciation on the combine. And those things are important too in terms of that profitability equation. So, we want to make sure that we're talking with guys and thinking about everything, not just what that total yield is. But when we think about yield, we're at the point now where we've got a bunch of trial results in, and for the third year in a row, we've got DK401TL, which is kind of coming up to the top of the leaderboard in terms of yield in our trials. And we think we've got a great opportunity with that product to be able to offer something that gives guys good yield, give them flexibility, and has that whole plant dry down. So just allows them to be more efficient with their dollars and their time.
Yeah, overall, like let's hit on it. As growers are thinking about hybrid selection for this upcoming year, what's compelling in the DEKALB portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned DK401TL. I mean, that's a special product, I'll be honest. Like it yields fantastic. It offers the dual trait in terms of TruFlex and LibertyLink, so it gives a lot of flexibility for growers. It just has a lot of great fits across Western Canada. And so that's a great product in terms of the opportunity of yield and profitability. We're also offering a new hybrid this year on the TruFlex side of things, DK904TF, which is the highest yielding glyphosate resistant hybrid that we've ever tested. It has a great opportunity for guys in those areas that are looking for that fit. When we think about DEKALB in general, I think there's a lot of great things that come with it. But again, focusing on that profitability, we're right now in the middle of that seed selling season, and we're in the middle of our kind of DEKALB Harvest Rewards offer. In that offer, growers stand to be able to save up to $75 a bag on canola when they book by October 31st. And that's for all DEKALB hybrids. So the entire lineup's available for that offer. And I mean, if growers are interested about that and want to learn more, they can talk to their rep or talk to their agronomist, or they can go to dekalbrewards.ca and find out more about it. But again, I think it's a great opportunity for growers to, get in, book a hybrid, and save a bit of money and be a little bit more profitable for next season.
Great stuff. That website was dekalbrewards.ca. And of course, you can talk to your local DEKALB rep or, of course, your retailer. Hey, Tim, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.